Hey guys, welcome to HipHughes History. We're going to talk about politics. How exciting is that? Not so much a lecture, but more of kind of some news and babblings and rantings of a madman. Because last night I was watching the television, the good old telly there, and my brain imploded all over the inside of my skull because Eric Cantor, the House Majority Leader, went down like a clown in his primary in Virginia last night. This sent shockwaves throughout the political community because it's just such a big deal. And it's not that House Republicans haven't always eaten their own. I think that that's been something that has been kind of a common thread throughout the GOP. But this is a huge deal, not only because he was the House Majority Leader and he was second in command to the Speaker of the House, John Boehner, but many people saw him as the next Speaker of the House when John Boehner retired. So I want to do a little bit of analysis, just kind of talk about the race and maybe how it happened and what it means. So I think in terms of how it happened, it's actually quite amazing. I think it shows you that money isn't everything. Cantor had like $5 million. He spent about $4 million. David Bratt, an economics professor from Randolph-Macon College, had about $200,000. He only had 2 campaign staffers. They ran their campaign on a flip phone. When he was supposed to meet with Grover Norquist, kind of the anti-tax god of the right, he actually didn't show up because he had final exams and he couldn't miss work. So in the sense of Eric Cantor, $5 million, every single special interest lobby, economic powerhouse, Wall Street bank, chemical corporation behind him couldn't beat this economics professor. It's just mind-blowing. I think in terms of how it happened, I think there's 2 main reasons. I think one of them is we all know that primaries are really a microcosm of a political party's radicalness. Not radicalness so much as it's far right or far left. And especially in the GOP, the people that show up at a primary aren't your just average, good old Republican voters. They're the real Republican voters, if you know what I mean. So it tilts to the right. And I think that along with the fact that Eric Cantor elevated this guy by spending so much money to beat him, he actually gave him name recognition. So when people went out to vote, I think they were voting as much against Eric Cantor as they were for David Bratt. And they knew about David Bratt because they were told about him by that guy, Eric Cantor. I think the other reason is gerrymandering. I think gerrymandering has really created districts that are much more red and much more blue. So therefore, the far right and the far left of each party have much more power at the polls. Other things that I think are important are definitely immigration. I think immigration drove David Bratt's win. Eric Cantor didn't even really come out full-fledged for immigration reform, but even just kind of talking about it on the sidelines, about the possibility of some type of deal with the Obama administration and Democrats that would lead to amnesty for illegal immigrants, really angered the electorate in Virginia, at least the right, the Tea Party electorate. They don't want anything to do with immigration reform. So the message, I think, now is forget about immigration reform. If you're a Republican and you even think about dancing near that fire, you better not do that because you're going to get burned. So I think immigration reform is a huge, huge deal. And I also think that it speaks volumes about the upcoming presidential election in 2016. This really was a year for mainstream Republicans, at least Mitch McConnell winning in Kentucky. And there were some other mainstream wins that really reversed the trend of the Tea Party kind of pushing the GOP to the right. Moderate GOP, business GOP people polled apparently that party back towards the center, but now we're going back in the other direction. This is a really big deal. So if you think about who are the big candidates that are kind of the moderate Republicans for 2016, because one philosophy says that the GOP needs to nominate a moderate to have any type of chance in an electoral college win, and then the other philosophy says no. We have to do the opposite. We have to stick to our roots and turn out our base and go far to the right. Well, if you're somebody like Jeb Bush right now or Chris Christie, you're scratching your head thinking, I don't know if I can win a primary in the GOP. So I think that this is really, in a sense, maybe illuminating us a little bit to what might happen in 2016 when the GOP goes through that primary process. So immigration, the power of the Tea Party, and David Bratt won't even really kind of commit to the Tea Party. He says that free markets are not left or right. Constitutional principles are not left or right. So we'll see how that goes in the sense of him trying to beat his challenger. who's another professor at the same college, Randolph-Macon College. So we'll have a D and an R going at each other in Virginia, and that should be interesting. But I bet you that it's probably a much more contested race now that the Republican is a little farther to the right. You're making that race probably a little bit more competitive in terms of moderates and who might win that sucker. So there you go, guys. What's going to happen? I don't know. There's probably going to be some brouhaha going on in the House in the next few days. And certainly we'll be talking about it in the papers and online for quite some time. So Eric Cantor, only Jewish Republican in the House of Representatives. See you later, alligator, because you out. All right, guys, giddy up. Where tension goes, energy flows. We hope that you enjoyed me babbling a little bit about Eric Cantor. We'll see you next time when we do some of the teaching on the YouTubes. All right, guys, giddy up.